My name is Khairul Anwar. I describe myself as the creative nomad. I travel from one medium or one creative disciplines to another. I started off as an actor, then I moved into fine arts. I studied fine arts and majored in sculpture in Australia. And I practiced as an artist for a bit, and then I moved into the media as a producer director, and then eventually I moved into managing the business itself. I became head of business or vice president of Malay business in Astro for about 15 years, and then now I took the role of a CEO of Media Prima television networks and also Prime Work Studios, which runs the film business. So that's very much a little bit about me.
Can you please tell us more about the exhibition that you're staging?
This exhibition is me making a comeback to an unfinished business. So there's almost like connecting the dots that I left behind, which is what 33 years ago. My solo show at the substation. Ever since then, I moved on and I went into the media, but art has always been there and very close to me. In KL, yes. Recently, I started because of that calling or that yearning for that space. I think because of media, you conduct yourself with a lot of people. You work with writers, you work with directors, you work with producers, you work with financial controllers, talents, and all that. So during COVID, I had a lot of time for myself, and I decided to paint a lot more. And then it rekindled the spark. I suddenly felt, okay, this is something that I really missed, and I felt compelled to actually dive into it, but with a different perspective compared to how I left it before.
So, in an interview in 2022, you were quoted as saying that post-pandemic, TV advertising revenue will continue to be a key contributor for Media Prima business. So, what are your views on commercialized content, advertorials, and even propaganda of censorship issues where artistic freedom and poetic licenses are concerned? Like, how do you achieve a viable and sustainable balance as both an executive as well as an artist at heart?
I think if that context of that statement is based on the free-to-air television. So in free-to-air television, we have to rely heavily on advertising because that is the core of the business. Or you connect people, you gather people to actually come in and watch program on specific time based on your control, television scheduling, and with that captured audience, advertisers can start selling their products. So that is the nature of the business. But I think as we move, I think ever since the past 5 or 10 years, media has changed how the audience consume media, consume content, and the platform that they choose to subscribe to. For example, with social media, it's no longer mass communication content. I think the whole idea or how we were trained in universities, the whole terminology of mass communication, I'm not sure whether that is still relevant today. It's something that requires rethinking. I think with the streaming services, the social media has moved from Facebook to YouTube and now TikTok. That has shaped communication, content, and which platform you choose for which audience that you want to address. So I think today we have to be very sophisticated in choosing the right platform for the targeted audience. As a filmmaker, you need to decide who's your audience. Do you have a story for them? And then how do they consume content today? Let's say, for example, if it's short form, TikTok or social media, YouTube, you then design your story to fit that time and space that you choose, or the platform that you pick. Or today with the streaming services, and then choosing the right streaming partners or which streaming companies are available, you then need to choose, because they have different nuances. Disney Plus will have a different target audience and nuances. Netflix, Amazon, and more mushrooming. It really depends on, as an artist, what is your voice and how do you, and who's your audience and how do you want to communicate. I don't know whether I've answered it.
That makes sense. Awesome. And from there, I think there's a nice flow. Do you think traditional art forms such as theatre, bangsawan, and sandewara, for instance, can be integrated into modern day media and arts? For instance, televising opera. I mean, it's not that it's something new, but maybe in the Malay industry, it's not so, like, in, let's say, Italian opera, you have televised versions of La Scala and things like that. But let's say bangsawan, for instance. I used to be from radio side, so there's a lot of this khazanah that we are not preserving as we should, and also we are not trying to bring it to the younger generations as we should. So would you be keen on integrating multidisciplinary arts under one roof in this region, for instance?
I think first we can't simply extract something and then put in a platform, a modern platform, and hoping that things will be okay. Because I may be, this is my point of view. I think bangsawan, the nature of bangsawan, it has to be performed live. It's a live experience, space that you need to capture. and if you look at the structure of bangsawan as a cultural art form, you will see a lot of the narrative act, or whether it's act 1, act 2, act 3, or you have the extra turns, you have the costumes, but most importantly is the music. To me, bangsawan was once upon a time what hiburan minggu ini was also once upon a time, because there is a variety show carried from places to places, because there's no television. I think bangsawan died when film came about. I know for a fact that some friends that I know, the grandfather was the owner of a bangsawan troupe. So it was a very interesting conversation. He said, it died because when Shaw Brothers opened film companies, so they employed all the actors to join them, because the business could actually sustain the cost of living, and they could actually pay more. And these guys became even more popular than being a bangsawan actor. So the art form became a popular culture, and there's a business related activity to it that enable film to sustain, and bangsawan died. So if we want to look at bangsawan, which I think is important for us to preserve, so preservation requires a different mindset. You cannot just try and fit that preservation mindset into making things popular. It will never be popular. It has to be placed in the right place first, with the right mindset, and with the right educational tools to make the younger ones understand. How you popularize it that will come later because innovation will take place. But you need to get this to happen. This interaction can happen. Artists being artists will innovate. But you need to expose these artists or the younger ones to all this. Say for example, if you listen to the music, Malay music today, the pop music today, there's a very strong element of dangdut in it. The dangdut rhythm or tune to it. Maybe one day a filmmaker will walk in and say, hey, actually I like the structure of Bangsawan, the story structure in Bangsawan that I want to apply in film. Maybe, but that can only happen if these filmmakers understand or is aware or exposed to what Bangsawan was, what Wayang Kulit was, what is Magyong, what is Menorah, what is so many other cultural art forms. And then if you want to dive even deeper, because this cultural art form has no geographical boundaries. So once upon a time, there's no Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. There's only Melayu Riau, Melayu Thai. Maybe with the current information technology, we can actually enable those information, and we need to think differently. We cannot think based on geographical boundaries, and hence why I left, because I can't think that way. I can't think, oh, why, I have my reasons, but one of the reasons, because I think 300 million is better than a few million.
How do you think the generations of today's arts practitioners have evolved from the time you were in LaSalle to today, and what are the good and bad differences between artists in all art forms that you are familiar with, born out of the earlier systems of say 50 years ago versus the artists of today? Like for instance, in music, film, fine arts, fashion, literary arts, journalism even.
I can only comment based on my experiences in Malaysia and Indonesia, and by my very little experience in Singapore. Say for example, during my time as a practicing artist or someone who's involved in the theatre, it's very much patronized by the government. You will need the grants from the government for you to actually stage a play, which is a very good thing. But unfortunately, the disadvantage is that you tend to rely too much on those grants. From the business point of view, it's not sustainable, because you're not out there to actually truly understand audience, market, and all that. So it's different when, as a TV producer, in Malaysia or in Indonesia, you do need to be very sure that you hit a certain targets in terms of ratings, and then you can, say for example, films, you have a sizable amount of audience that will come and pay for your film so that you can actually continue working. But if your film is specialized or quite niche in nature, then you need to decide, or you need to understand how big is that audience again. Kalau let's say if the audience is not that big, then do not spend too much to cater for the audience. I give you an example. I mean, this is during my time. I grew up with Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. When Pulp Fiction came out, we were blown away. But the studios didn't spend big blockbuster kind of money to support Tarantino. But somehow Tarantino managed to get like-minded film goers who said, oh, this is so different, and he made it quite pop.
From cult to more pop.
More pop. Yeah, I think the choice of music, the choice of actors, John Travolta came back with Pulp Fiction. He relived that iconic John Travolta. So those are methods ataupun tools ataupun techniques that you as an artist you need to be very aware of and to be sustainable, art has to have that sense, or artists, you need to have the sense of awareness of your audience and your market. We can't go in blindly thinking, oh, if they don't understand my work, or because the audience are too backward or they're not intelligent enough. I think the failure is in the artist understanding their audience, or the audience that they want to address. Maybe sometimes they chose the wrong platform to address that audience. For example, I run during my days in Astro, I run a free channel, and I also run the premium channels. But we tend to think that, okay, because my customers are all Malays in Malaysia, but not all Malays are the same. The moment you walk in thinking, okay, my audience are Malays, I know Malay because I'm a Malay, that's the first step that will lead you to disaster. Say for example, like food. If you understand that, let's say if you're good in nasi lemak, making nasi lemak and nasi Melayu, sell nasi lemak and nasi Melayu. Don't try and be too clever, changing, because it has a captive audience. Similarly, if you came from the second generation of that nasi lemak seller and say, okay, my audience or my buyers, the younger ones, they want it to be slightly hip, serve a very good nasi lemak, but throw in a good coffee, maybe.
Or steak.
Or
that
steak.
Goes with it.
Yeah, steak goes with it, but steak is totally a different.
No, and then
different.
steak as a side dish.
Yes, correct. Yeah, today kita dengar, or we hear people are throwing lobster, nasi lemak, and stuff like that. So because you are adapting it to address to a new audience. So that to me is innovation and making sure that you are sustainable. Because you understand your market segment, you throw in lobster, make sure that they can afford and they are willing to pay for the lobster.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I think I would like to have a very strong memory that I could immediately remember, or I have the ability to run through memories of other people as well. And then I could connect those memories and create new memories.
Interesting. What are the top 3 must reads for you every day? On social media or in the form of like digital content.
Okay. Sports. I'm a big football fan. I would.
Team?
Manchester United.
Okay, kita masuk gol.
Yeah. So I want to claim my 7 roti canai today, roti prata today. Yes, I would read sports. I would read some self-help on management, on leadership, and also the next one is on health, on getting fit, eating right, exercise. So these are the 3 main things that I will go to.
And the last question, what would you want your last meal to be?
I've never thought of it, because what would I want my last meal to be? Or maybe which meal that I will definitely miss. So I want to have that before, so that I won't miss it anymore. I have to say chicken rice. Because chicken rice is a meal that I can eat every day, anytime. And I think I feel like chicken rice now.
What do you think?
Okay.